This next set of questions comes from YouTube user Gibberish9, who says that they have a small list of questions. Now, the first question is a political question, and ordinarily I don't discuss politics and religion with people because it's just a good way to make people mad. You know, some people are very passionate about their political and religious beliefs, and far be it from me to offend anybody. What is your opinion of Barack Obama? Well, it's kind of mixed. On the one hand, I know that he did not come into office as the president with a particularly easy job to do. On the other hand, I definitely don't approve of some of the shenanigans that he has engaged in, and yes, I do love the word shenanigans. How did I learn such technical info about computers? I read a lot of books, I experimented, and I've had a few classes at the School of Hard Knocks. I've had very little in the way of formal education. I am basically completely self-taught. And some of the books that I started out reading are the ones that were authored by Peter Norton when he was a technical writer about the IBM personal computer. I have his Inside the IBM PC book, I have his Inside the IBM PS2 book, and I have a book of his on assembly language that I've gotten about halfway through. Why do I like S10 pickups? Well, it was pretty much the only choice on the market at the time that I bought my truckling that really appealed to me. The 2003 model year Chevrolet pickup trucks, the full-size ones, just looked unbelievably goofy to me. I couldn't see myself driving around in one of those things with that goofy slanted grille and those slanted headlights and those round protrusions on the taillights on the back end. I just couldn't see myself driving that, and really I've been very happy with my truckling. It's not perfect, but what vehicle is? Everything breaks sooner or later, and little things fail on any vehicle you can care to name. But I haven't been too unhappy with it. Really, the only thing that I might be wishing for on my little truckling would have been a diesel engine option, and I guess that's just not a very realistic thing to ask for, because I have seen exactly one intact and operating S10 diesel, and it was only in pictures. I never got to see it in person. The name for the Roach Palace came from a copy of Consumer Reports' Zillions for Kids magazine. I talk more about the origins of that name and the story behind it in the general questions video that I made first. I don't remember the first appliance that I repaired. There have been so many things that I've repaired, and a few of them I've even managed to fix. Have I ever worked on old tube-style radios? Yes, I have. There's a video about my tube-style radios. Some were repaired by myself, some were repaired by others, and there are still a couple projects waiting in the wings, such as a Spartan 1037 console and a Zenith 6S52, that both need complete overhauls. Are you planning to make a video series of that tractor trailer, by which I assume you mean the Hendrickson truck? Well, I'm not personally, but the Keykeeper claims he is, so go and check his channel out, Walsh Monster 2005. YouTube user 727JeffN, who spins a lot of great vinyl, and if you're into records, you should definitely be watching his channel, writes in to ask, where did you go to school and do you have a college degree? No, I have a high school education. I attended a couple classes at a community college, but I've never been on any sort of a degree-seeking program. I hated school. I struggled to get through it. I place some of the blame on myself. I place some of the blame, probably more of it than I should, on the school system that I attended. It just wasn't a very good deal all around. And while I have enjoyed the few college classes that I have taken, I can't say as I really see myself as the kind of person who's going to seek a degree. El Cheapo 100 asks, do you like Windows 7? Well, Windows 7's better than Vista. I guess I can say that for it. At least they got the performance back to something that looks moderately respectable. But I don't like the shell. I don't like the fact that the toolbars have been so hopelessly stripped and removed of a lot of features that I found handy. I can use Windows 7, but it's not my preferred operating system, and I do see myself heading away from Windows in a steady direction when I can no longer get Windows 2000 and XP to do the kind of things that I need. YouTube user Madness832 asks, will we get to see lots more of the dashing Keykeeper in your future videos? And I kind of find that humorous. I'm not sure why, but what am I, chopped liver? Seriously, the Keykeeper, he'll continue showing up in my videos, whatever your reasons might be to want to see him. He'll be here. He usually shows up at the most inopportune times, and he also has a channel of his own if you want to see him there, Walsh Monster 2005. That said, and he may kill me for saying this, but the keykeeper is most assuredly straight. So, there you have it. YouTube user V8Jagnut asks, why not have a heater down in your basement, referencing the video I made where I first asked all of you wonderful folks for questions. I do have heat in the basement. There are heat vents, but at the time I made that video, it was well below freezing outside, and my parents' Comfort Maker furnace was not really doing the greatest job of keeping the whole house evenly heated. So the basement was, I'd say, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but it was still chilly enough, especially in bare feet, which I was at the time. YouTube user Freddy94CHR said, I thought you were a 50-year-old man. I don't know where people get that, to be perfectly honest. The age on my channel info page is accurate. I am 28 years old as of the time that I'm making this video. I sound different in these videos because they're made with a different camera. I'm using the camera that's built into my MacBook, which seems to have a much better microphone than my little Panasonic Lumix camera does. Maybe one of these days, I'll go ahead and I'll buy a real proper camera with a decent microphone on it. But until then, the Panasonic camera more than meets my needs. YouTube user Weasel2HTM says that he's been wanting to ask for a long time, not so much about me, I mean, what am I, chopped liver? See how much mileage I can get out of that line, but about my partner in crime, and boy did he call that one. When did the Keykeeper start being called the Keykeeper? Is it a nickname that has been around for years, or one that just started early in the YouTube videos? Well, here is the condensed and unabridged, the condensed and unabridged history of the Keykeeper's username. Back when he signed up for YouTube, his user account contains our real last name of Walsh. And I didn't think at the time, you know, I've posted to Usenet for the better part of a decade with my full real name, but I didn't think that the Keykeeper ought to be posting things to YouTube with his real first and last name. I guess you could call it brotherly concern, if anything else, if nothing else. And so I decided to come up with some kind of, I asked him to come up with some kind of a screen name for himself. And he couldn't come up with anything, so I suggested the Keykeeper. The reason being that he carries all the keys for our vehicles, or at least most of them, on his belt and can produce them on demand. For some reason, a lot of people have felt that the reference to the Keykeeper is something to do with the Matrix series of films, and it's not. Years and years ago, and you have to be in computers for a little while, at least during the mid-90s to remember this, but Gateway 2000 used to run these advertisements in computer magazines when their business was really booming and mail-order computers was a market that they dominated. They ran a lot of fancy ads in their magazines, in computer magazines featuring their employees. And one of these advertisements, I don't remember the gist of the whole thing, but I know they did a question and answer style fake radio show with these two employees asking questions of people on the Gateway production line and taking alleged input from potential customers on questions. They had another one where this woman couldn't get to sleep of a night and found solace not only in her Gateway computer, but also some sort of alien encounter. If you remember more about these ads, do feel free to leave a comment, because I'm sure my memory is missing or incomplete here, or has some of the details wrong or something, because that's what aging will do to you. One of these advertisements featured a guy who was a Gateway 2000 security guard, and he was cast in a role as the Keykeeper, and he too held a bunch of keys. I don't remember any more about the ad than that, but that is where the name Keykeeper comes from. It's not a reference to the Matrix films. It's actually a reference to an old Gateway 2000 computer advertisement that appeared in some computer magazine in the mid to late 90s, I'm sure. So that's the story behind the Keykeeper's username, and hopefully that answers your question.